Good afternoon. I have a statement to deliver. I will read it first in Arabic and then I will translate it into English. في انتهاك صارخ للقانون الدولي وميثاق الأمم المتحدة وأبسط أبجديات وقيم وأخلاق العلاقات الدولية، غرد الرئيس الأمريكي دونالد ترامب يوم أمس الخميس في 21 الجاري معربا عن استهزاء إدارته بالمجتمع الدولي ومنظمة الأمم المتحدة التي تمثله وقرارات مجلس الأمن التي شكلت على مدى عقود طويلة ركائز الشرعية الدولية. إن حكومة الجمهورية العربية السورية تدين بشدة هذا التصريح اللامسؤول حول الوضع القانوني للجولان السوري المحتل الذي أقرت الأمم المتحدة عبر مختلف قرارات جمعية العامة ذات الصلة وقرار مجلس الأمن رقم 497 لعام 1981 بأنه أرض محتلة، وأن أي إجراءات تتخذها سلطات الاحتلال الإسرائيلي على هذه الأراضي المحتلة هي لاغية وباطلة وليس لها أي أثر قانوني. إن تصريح الرئيس ترامب يؤكد مجددا انحياز الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية الأعمى لكيان الاحتلال الصهيوني ودعمها اللامحدود لسلوكه العدواني، ويعبر بكل وضوح عن ازدراء الولايات المتحدة بالشرعية الدولية وانتهاكها السافر لقراراتها، وخاصة قرار مجلس الأمن رقم 497 لعام 81 الذي صوت عليه أعضاء المجلس بالإجماع بمن فيهم الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية نفسها. نؤكد أن الإدارة الأمريكية لا تمتلك أي حق أو ولاية تخولها أن تقرر مصير الجولان العربي السوري المحتل، وأن أي اعتراف منها أو أي إجراء ينطوي على الاعتداء على حق الجمهورية العربية السورية في استعادة تلك الأرض المحتلة وسيادتها عليها هو عمل عدواني واستفزازي وغير شرعي ولا أثر له، وهو إخلال بالتزامات الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية كعضو دائم في مجلس الأمن وكدولة مضيفة لمقر منظمتنا هذه تجاه أحكام الميثاق ومبادئ القانون الدولي. وبالتالي فإن الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية غير مؤتمنة على الاطلاع بالمسؤولية التي تتحملها بموجب عضويتها الدائمة في مجلس الأمن. إن تصريحات الرئيس الأمريكي وأركان إدارته حول الجولان السوري المحتل والزيارات التي يقوم بها أفراد يزعمون تمثيلهم للشعب الأمريكي لن تغير أبدا من حقيقة أن الجولان كان وسيبقى عربيا سوريا، وأن الشعب السوري أكثر عزيمة وتصميما وإصرارا على تحرير هذه البقعة الغالية من التراب الوطني السوري بكل الوسائل المتاحة وإعادتها إلى كنف الوطن الأم شاء من شاء وأبى من أبى، طال الزمان أم قصر. لقد أصبح جليا للمجتمع الدولي أن الولايات المتحدة بسياساتها الرعناء باتت تمثل العامل الأساس في توتير الأوضاع على الساحة الدولية وتهديد السلم والاستقرار الدوليين، وبات واضحا أن السياسة الأمريكية الخارجية تكرس حاليا عصر التطرف في العلاقات السياسية الدولية وتعيد فكر البشرية إلى مرحلة قانون الغاب والعصور البدائية التي تقدس النار ومشعليها وترى في البشرية وقودا للهيبها. لقد اتبعت هذه الإدارة نهجا عدائيا شعاره التصعيد مع الدول الأعضاء في هذه المنظمة، وهو ما يتمثل في طبيعة العلاقة القائمة مع كل من سوريا وروسيا والصين وأوروبا وإيران والمكسيك وكندا وفنزويلا وغيرها الكثير من الدول. إن حال السياسة الأمريكية اليوم هي حال من يقول على الطريقة الأمريكية my way or the highway، يعني بالعربي شلون بدنا نقولها هي؟ عجبك كلامي عجبك، ما عجبك روح بلط البحر. وبالتالي فإننا نطالب الأمين العام للأمم المتحدة ومجلس الأمن والجمعية العامة بإدانة التصريح الصادر عن الرئيس ترامب واتخاذ الخطوات اللازمة لوضع حد للصلف الأمريكي وضمان احترام قرارات الشرعية الدولية والحفاظ على السلم والأمن والاستقرار في العالم. I will read out now a translation of this statement in English. In a flagrant violation of international law, the Charter of the United Nations, and the simplest of the alphabet, values and ethics of international relations, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, tweeted yesterday, 21st of March 2019, in contempt of the international community, the United Nations Security Council, and the Security Council resolutions, which for decades formed fundamental pillars of international legitimacy. The government of the Syrian Arab Republic strongly condemns this irresponsible statement on the legal status of the occupied Syrian Golan, which has been recognized by the United Nations through multiple relevant General Assembly resolutions and the Security Council Resolution 497 of 1981, which refers to Israel as, and I quote, the occupying power, and says Israel's attempt to impose its laws, jurisdiction, and administration in the occupied Syrian Golan is null and void and without international legal effect. President Trump's statement reaffirms the United States' blind bias towards the Israeli occupation and its unlimited support for its aggressive behavior. It clearly reflects the contempt of the United States for the international legitimacy and its flagrant violation of its resolutions, particularly Security Council Resolution 497 of 1981, unanimously adopted by the members of the Security Council, including the United States itself. But that was a different United States. We reaffirm that the United States administration has no right or mandate to decide the fate of the occupied Syrian Golan, and that any recognition or any action that involves violation of the Syrian Arab Republic's sovereignty over its occupied territory is in fact an act of aggression, provocation, and illegal act, and a failure to comply with the United States obligations as a permanent member of the Security Council, but also as the host country of the United Nations, towards the provisions of the Charter and the principles of international law. And thus, the United States is not entrusted anymore to assume the responsibility of the permanent membership of the Security Council. The statement made by the American President and his administration officials regarding the occupied Syrian Golan and the visits of individuals who claim their representation of the American people will never change the fact that the Syrian Golan was and will remain an Arab Syrian territory, and that the Syrian people are more resolute and determined than ever to liberate this precious part of the Syrian territory by all means and regain the Syrian sovereignty right over it. These administration policies and actions are nothing but a recipe for more wars and escalation at a time that the world needs to resort to diplomacy in order to preserve and achieve our common goal of peace and security, and not vice versa. It has become clear to the international community that the United States, with its reckless policies, has become the main factor of tension in the international scene and the main threat to peace and security in the world. It is also clear that the American foreign policy is currently devoting the era of extremism in international political relations. This U.S. administration has pursued a hostile approach characterized by escalation towards member states of this organization. This evaluation applies on many cases, such as the U.S. foreign policy towards Syria, Russia, China, Iran, Venezuela, and many other countries. including so-called friends and allies of the United States, such as Canada and the European Union. The American policy slogan today is "My way or the highway." To conclude, we call on the Secretary General of the United Nations, the Security Council, and the General Assembly to condemn President Trump's statement and to take all the necessary steps to put an end to this American arrogance and to ensure implementation of the relevant resolutions in order to maintain peace, security, and stability in the world. That was the official statement of the Syrian government with regard to this irresponsible tweeting, this is how they call it now, right, of President Trump with regard to the Syrian occupied Golan. I'm in your hands for all kinds of questions and answers. Please focus on this issue. We will have all the time, the necessary time, later on the 27th, because we will have a meeting on Syria, on the humanitarian issue on the 27th, to speak about any other issues. For the time being, please let us focus on this very important issue. Thank you so much. Please.
ما الذي يمكن أن نتوقعه من الأمم المتحدة، من الاتحاد الأوروبي، من المنظمات الدولية، وبالأخص من الأمين العام أن يفعل أو يتحدث أو يقول شيء في مواجهة مثل هذا الإعلان من قبل الرئيس ترامب؟
وجهت قبل ساعة تقريبا رسالتين متطابقتين للسيد الأمين العام ولرئيس مجلس الأمن، وطبعا طلبت توزيعها كوثيقة على أعضاء مجلس الأمن. طلبنا طبعا من الأمين العام ومن مجلس الأمن أن يصدرا موقفا يرفضان فيه هذا الموقف الأمريكي. على كل حال يبدو أن الأمور تسبق بعضها البعض، فهناك تصريح أوروبي يرفض الموقف الذي تبناه الرئيس الأمريكي، وهناك تصريح من الجامعة العربية حسب ما فهمت، وهناك تصريح روسي أيضا يرفض هذا الكلام، وتصريح صيني. نتمنى نسمع من السيد الأمين العام رفضا واضحا لا لبس فيه لهذا الانتهاك لقرارات مجلس الأمن ولأحكام الميثاق.
هل أجريتم اتصالات مع أعضاء مجلس الأمن الدولي بشأن عقد جلسة من أجل إصدار موقف حول هذه المسألة؟
لم نقرر بعد المضي في هذا الاتجاه قبل أن نجس نبض المنظمة الدولية بشخص أمينها العام ومجلس الأمن أولا، ومن ثم سنتخذ الخطوات اللاحقة المناسبة.
موقف المتحدث الرسمي اليوم كان أن على مجلس الأمن أن يصدر موقف بشأن قراراته في هذا الشأن، والقرارات صدرت عن مجلس الأمن، بالتالي أحال القضية على مجلس الأمن كما على ما يبدو.
أنا أعتقد أن هذا لا يعفي ذاك. الأمين العام شيء والمجلس الأمن شيء آخر. طبعا كلاهما يصبان في مصلحة ما يسمى الشرعية الدولية، يمثلان الشرعية الدولية، لكن تصريح الناطق الرسمي لا يعفي الأمين العام من أن يدلي ببيان هو شخصيا حول هذا الموضوع بحكم موقعه السياسي والأخلاقي والقانوني، ولا يعفي مجلس الأمن أيضا من القيام بواجباته تجاه هكذا مسألة خطيرة، لأن الانتهاك أساسا جاء لقرار مجلس الأمن 497 وقرار مجلس الأمن 242، وكلا القرارين كما تعرف يشكلان أساس ما يسمى بالعملية السلمية في منطقتنا للصراع العربي الإسرائيلي.
Ambassador, the spokesperson for the Secretary General in the briefing just now said that the Secretary General stands by all the existing resolutions but was not prepared to condemn the tweet. Can you explain to us exactly what you want to hear right now from the Secretary General and from the Security Council? And if I may, a second question, UNDOF, does this in any way change the Syrian government's view or interaction with UNDOF, because that's coming up for an important renewal vote in a few months' time?
In a few days there will be a special meeting, I think on the 28th, of the Security Council to consider renewing the mandate of UNDOF. Then we suppose that the special representative of the Secretary General to the Middle East, Mr. Mladinov, should brief the Council about this very alarming development, we suppose. Then, in light of his briefing, we will see what will come with regard the issue of renewal of UNDOF mandate in the Golan. But, however, I don't think that UNDOF mandate will be impacted by such development, because it's not up to the American administration, it's not up to President Trump, it's not up to anybody else in the American administration to determine the fate of this very important peacekeeping operation operating in the Golan. Anyway, we will see the American stance in the deliberations, and we will act accordingly. This is with regard to your second question. The first question, let me read out for you, just to refresh your memory, what Resolution 242 says. The Security Council, emphasizing the inadmissibility of the acquisition of territory by war, and that the need to work for a just and etc. lasting peace. Then, the Security Council affirms withdrawal of Israeli armed forces from territories occupied in the recent conflict. That goes back to 242, 1967, right? November 1967. Resolution 497 says, 1981, the Security Council and the United States voted in favor. The Security Council, reaffirming that the acquisition of territory by force is inadmissible in accordance with the Charter of the United Nations, the principles of international law, and the relevant Security Council resolutions. 1. Decides that the Israeli decision to impose its laws, jurisdiction, and administration in the occupied Syrian Golan is null and void and without international legal effect. This is my answer to you. Please.
Hi, Ambassador Frankie Ciardo from Tier 2 World. Considering what you just said, when those two resolutions were passed, those were quite different times in the White House. Considering who's in the White House now, how do you actually envision the Security Council, which the spokesman here said today was responsible for determining whether or not the Israel's in violation and the U.S. is in violation of those particular resolutions? How do you expect that's ever going to get considered in the Council these days?
I wouldn't anticipate on the reaction by the President of the Security Council for this month. You know, it's a French presidency, and the French stance vis-à-vis Syria right now is not that good. So I don't want to read in advance what might be the reaction of the President, but I would strongly urge you to ask him this question. What is the Security Council position? It's up to him to answer this question. As far as I am concerned, we expect everybody in this organization to take a firm stance. A firm stance. Not only condemning the American president's tweeting. Diplomacy nowadays is about tweeting, apparently. Everybody should, make his luggage and leave. No more diplomacy in this world. It's not only about condemning. It's about reminding the American officials that in this world, if there is no international law, we are heading towards wars. And that will be the end of the world, as you know. You cannot declare war to everybody in this world, claiming that you are the only one who has right. The American administration is in a state of war with everybody, including with its best allies, as I said. Everybody is wrong in the eyes of the American administration. Everybody is wrong, unfortunately. And let me elaborate a little bit on this, if you allow me. We are celebrating nowadays the 100th anniversary of the establishment of the League of Nations. It was founded in Versailles, 1918. We are 2018, 100 years. After 100 years of accumulating legal experience by the international humanity, until we reach out to the UN and to our, current Security Council and international multilateralism. After 100 years, this tweeting by President Trump, after the blow he did to the Palestinians on Jerusalem, is bringing the international law back to the pre-1918. Meaning, this tweeting is sacrificing 100 years of legal accumulation, international experience, or in other terms, international diplomacy. What is the alternative to the diplomacy? You know the answer.
Thank you, Ambassador. Michelle Nichols from Reuters. Your government said this morning that it would take back the Golan Heights. How might it do that? Is the Syrian government considering using force to take back the Golan? And also the White House has said today that Islamic State no longer holds any territory in Syria. Can you comment on that, please?
Thank you. First of all, it's not about heights. The Golan is not about heights. This is an Israeli terminology invented after the occupation of the Golan to send a message, a wrong message to the public opinion, saying that, you know what, heights meaning strategic hills, strategic mountains. When you say heights, at that time, in the 60s and 70s, heights means that you should be in a position of force to control your enemy. That was the idea behind the use of this wrong expression, Golan Heights. It's not anymore in the United Nations archives and language. Every year we adopt 3 resolutions in the General Assembly on the Syrian Golan, and we don't call it Golan Heights. We call it the Syrian occupied Golan.
Regardless of the name, does the Syrian government plan to use force to take back the
No,
Golan?
I know. I'm coming to this point. I know you like it very much. I'm coming to this point. But this is for your own education. We don't say Golan Heights because the Golan is about heights, mountains, valleys, water, lakes. It's about everything. It's a normal piece of land like everywhere else. Now, coming to your question. Our Minister of Defense, a couple of days ago, said that we have the right to get back our Golan by all means, legal means, including by force. Including by force, because it's when you have no other choice but using force to get back your rights, it's your duty. The Syrian Golan has been occupied since 1967, and we will not wait until Mr. Trump's and his administration changes their mind. This is our territory, and we will get it back sooner or later.
And Islamic State? The White House has said that Islamic State no longer holds any territory in Syria.
This is a bluff. This is a bluff. There is no Islamic State. Even let us start with the title itself. There has never been an Islamic State. It's not an Islamic, and it is not a state, neither. This is a bunch of terrorists gathered from all over the world and sent to Syria through our joint border, common border with our neighboring countries, namely Turkey, sponsored by the international intelligence services, including the CIA, the French, the British, all kinds of hyenas in this world. The funds came from the Gulf states, Saudis, Qataris, mainly speaking, volunteers from all over the world, starting from Canada, ending in Australia. Libyans, Egyptians, Jordanians, Turks, Saudis, Malaysians, Canadians, British, Belgians, French, Spanish, you name it. I would refer you to a report published by the Security Council, subcommittee of the Security Council on this phenomenon, ISIS. The report, the Security Council report, says that these terrorists came from 101 member states in this organization, meaning more than 50% of the member states have exported to us terrorism, pure terrorism.
Do they still hold any territory in Syria, though?
All the claims by the American administration with regard to the fate of ISIS is not accurate, are not accurate. All. One day they say ISIS is still holding half a square mile. The other day, half a kilometer, half square kilometer. Then they say that 60,000 terrorists left Al-Baghouz, which is the last stronghold on the Syrian-Iraqi border. 60,000. Could you imagine the presence of 60,000 terrorists in a half of square kilometer? All this information are wrong. Because you know what? ISIS is still stationed in Al-Rukban camp on the Syrian-Jordanian border, under the gaze of the American troops, meaning ISIS is under American protection in a 10th area, in the Rukban area. The same thing applies to the ISIS elsewhere. ISIS is not over yet in Syria. The Syrian army and our allies, the Russians and the Iranians, we are the ones who are fighting genuinely ISIS. It's not the Americans. It's not the allies. The allies have performed records in demolishing infrastructure in Syria, targeting bridges, killing civilians. That was what the so-called international coalition achieved, while claiming that they are fighting ISIS.
Yeah. Do you think this tweet that was sent, basically, it will upend the whole Middle East peace process? And do you think that this sort of opinion expressed by the American president is also with the tacit approval of the Saudis, that this could have had an impact, or that he could not have done it without the tacit approval of the Saudis?
I think the main point, we shouldn't lose sight of the main point. The main point is that somebody who has a huge responsibility in this organization, I'm referring to the United States. The United States hosted San Francisco conference for the elaboration of the charter and the signing of the charter. The United States hosted the headquarters of the United Nations in New York, and the United Nations is hosting too many UN agencies and other affiliated organs, right? Bodies. So, according to all these obligations and commitments, the United States government should be committed more than anybody else towards the provisions of the Charter and towards the principles of international law. What we are seeing right now is that the current American administration is doing exactly the opposite. This is why I said it seems that the prevailing doctrine nowadays in the American diplomacy is my way or the highway. In this international relations spectrum, domain, there is not only United States. You have too many players too many important players who have a saying also over what's going on. This is why many governments condemned the American move and refused to deal with it as something contradicting with the provisions of the Charter. This is the main point that we need to focus on.
What I was saying is that he has so far enjoyed support of some Arab countries, which is primary among them is Saudi Arabia. So do you think that that has had an impact on this also?
I haven't heard yet, honestly speaking, any support coming from any Arab capital so far. Let's wait and see. But anyway, the Golan is a Syrian matter. It's an international matter. It's a Security Council matter. Nobody has any right to dispose of the fate of the Golan. Nobody. We have resolutions. All of them recognize that the Syrian Golan is a Syrian territory. When somebody wants to manipulate this stuff, they will have to assume the consequences.
Why do you doubt the position of the French presidency when the European Union spoke as one union condemning such a move in support of international legitimacy? After all, the Golan belongs to the Syrian people, the Syrian Arab people, and not to a particular government, notwithstanding their position from your government.
I said I didn't want to anticipate on the reaction by the President of the Security Council. But at the same time, I have to remind everybody that the presidency of this month is France. And France is part of what I called a few minutes ago, is part of the so-called international coalition, which is hitting our villages, our civilians, our infrastructure in Syria, and causing the death of thousands of Syrians, innocent Syrians. So France somehow is linked to the wrong American policies towards us. I wish that the French position with regard to the American president's tweeting on the Syrian Golan would be different. I hope so. The last question, please.
Yeah, James Reinhold, Middle East Eye. Technically speaking, does Donald Trump's tweet actually change anything? If the US position changes, does that change anything legally speaking? Second question, when Syria does eventually reoccupy the Golan, what will happen to the Israeli civilians living there?
Syria will not reoccupy the Golan. Syria will regain its own territory. Yeah, it's worth it to remind, to use the right language. This is the first answer. What was your first question?
Does Donald Trump's tweet
and
a shift in representation, does it actually change anything, or is it just the opinion of one country?
It doesn't change anything, but unfortunately we have to acknowledge that it triggers more escalation and more tension in the international relationship all over the world. But it has only one positive side, to be honest with you. The American administration is further deeply finding itself isolated. This is the only positive side of the American president's tweeting. Thank you so much.
What happens to the Israeli civilians? What happens to the Israeli civilians in Golan when it is regained?
These are not civilians. These people are settlers. Settlers. They are foreigners coming to occupy others' lands. They are not civilians. They are settlers. There is a big difference between civilians and settlers. They must leave. Definitely. Thank you.